They heard a grandma. What the bikers did next will touch your heart. It was a quiet autumn afternoon in a small town in Ohio. The wind gently moved the yellow leaves across the sidewalk while people walked past busy with their own lives. Near the corner of Maple Street stood a small grocery store. Outside the store, an elderly woman carefully pushed a small shopping cart. Her name was Margaret. She was 82 years old, living alone since her husband passed away many years ago. Margaret was known by many in the neighborhood as a kind soul. She often baked cookies for the kids and always greeted strangers with a warm smile. But that afternoon, something terrible happened. As Margaret slowly stepped off the sidewalk, two teenage boys on bicycles rushed past her. They were laughing loudly, racing each other without paying attention to anyone around them. One of them crashed straight into Margaret. The old woman fell hard onto the pavement. Her groceries spilled everywhere, apples rolling across the street, bread crushed under the cart. Margaret cried out in pain. The boys looked back for a second, then rode away laughing. People nearby saw what happened, but most simply looked and kept walking. Margaret tried to sit up, but her hands trembled. Her knee was bleeding, and the pain in her back made it hard to breathe. She whispered softly, Please, can someone help me?" But no one stopped. Then something unexpected happened. The distant rumble of motorcycle engines echoed down the street. Within seconds, a group of about 15 bikers turned the corner. Black leather jackets, loud engines, long beards, the kind of group that often made people nervous. They were part of a local biker club passing through town. The lead biker, a tall man named Mike, noticed the old woman lying on the pavement. He immediately raised his hand. All the motorcycles stopped. Without hesitation, Mike jumped off his bike and rushed to Margaret. "Oh, ma'am, are you okay?" he asked gently. Margaret looked up, surprised by the kindness in his voice. "I think I fell," she whispered. The other bikers quickly surrounded her, but not in a threatening way. One biker carefully picked up the scattered groceries. Another placed his leather jacket under Margaret's head to make her more comfortable. A younger biker named Alex knelt beside her. "Don't worry, ma'am. We got you," he said softly. Mike called for an ambulance. While they waited, the bikers stayed with Margaret, talking to her so she wouldn't feel scared or alone. People who had ignored her minutes earlier now stopped and watched. One woman quietly whispered, "I thought bikers were dangerous." But what happened next changed everything. When the ambulance arrived, the paramedics checked Margaret and helped her onto a stretcher. Before the ambulance doors closed, Margaret grabbed Mike's hand. Her eyes were filled with tears. Why did you stop for me?" she asked. Mike smiled gently. Because someone should." Then he said something no one expected. "You remind me of my grandmother. I lost her a few years ago, and I promised myself I would never ignore someone who needs help." Margaret squeezed his hand tightly. Later that evening, something even more incredible happened. The bikers rode to Margaret's small house. They fixed her broken fence, cleaned her yard, and even repaired her old porch steps that had been falling apart for years. Neighbors watched in shock as the group worked late into the evening. Before leaving, they left a bag of groceries and a small note on her doorstep. The note simply read, "A family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who stop when the world keeps walking." A week later, Margaret was back home, recovering well. But every Sunday afternoon, the sound of motorcycles could be heard again on her street. The bikers would visit, bringing food, helping around the house, and sitting with her on the porch. What started as a terrible moment on a sidewalk turned into something beautiful. Because sometimes the people the world tears the most have the biggest hearts of all. And for Margaret, those bikers became the family she thought she had lost forever.